Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Chris Jones. In this episode of Let's Write About Now, Hillary Walsh joins me to discuss relationship wellness. Hey, Hillary, how's it going?
Hey, it's great, CJ.
I'm so glad to have you on here. You know, you and I, we have a lot of conversations about a wealth of different things around our lovely Pigtown. In one spot in particular, right? The brewery. Uh, I say that because be, in the midst of those conversations, they've been so informative. You know, we've had some conversations about some interesting topics, some sensitive topics, some playful topics, or what have you. So I thought, what better person to have on the podcast to talk about relationship wellness since you seem to have some pretty well, pun intended, relationships. So, first things first, we need to know who Hillary Walsh is. So, can you please tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a person with a lot of interests, and I bought my home 4 years ago in Pigtown. I love Baltimore, and it was my dream to move back here.
Okay.
And when I knew that I was going to be moving back, I decided that I wanted to have at least one cat. So a friend of mine, she had a cat that she was ready to rehome because she was downsizing and she had multiple animals. And I said, yeah, actually, I really like that cat. I'm ready to take her. And she said, you can have her on one condition that you take her brother. And so I said, all right.
Oh,
So her name is Lou, and she might participate a little bit in this video.
okay.
And so then I got her brother Punk, who I renamed Big Thana, which
Punk.
is
Did
kind
you
of,
say punk?
yeah, his name is Punk. And I renamed him Big Thana, which is kind of a little joke I have with myself because he's neutered and it's the name of a eunuch in the book of Esther. And so it's just kind of fun.
Oh,
When I was reading that in my Bible study, I kept imagining a big cat. And when I knew that I was getting a big cat, I said, this is my chance. I can name him Big Thana. So I did. And then when I moved here into my house, I realized that I could live my dream of fostering. So I started fostering cats. And my first foster group was a mom and four kittens. And I ended up falling in love with one of the kittens. And so I adopted him. So he might participate a little bit in this video as well. His name is Green, and it's because when he
green.
was, yeah, when he was a little baby, kittens from Barks, the organization that I fostered for,
Uh-huh.
they would have little neck bands and they would be different colors so you could tell the kittens apart. And so his was lime green, and so I just nicknamed him Green, and it became his real name. And I have one more cat, Kalamata, and I also did foster her, and I got her to be friends with Green. But now I'm at max cat capacity, so no more cats. This is it. As long as I have these four, this is it.
Those four. This is it.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
that's good. So, and the names, I love the names. I love the name. We said punk, and I'm like, did she say punk? Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't pick that name. So that's one aspect of my life. I just wanted to get that out there because I think my cats are going to participate.
Yeah.
So I also work in sales. I'm in telesales, and I
Okay.
sell financial software as a service. And I've recently got
Oh,
promoted,
cool.
so I'm a senior sales rep. And I also work at a brewery, which is how we met.
Yep.
And I also do pet care on the side. So I keep it kind of busy with all
Oh,
those activities, and I've got friends and have different other hobbies. So
well, speaking of the wellness of relationships, it seems as if the ones you have with your kitties, with your cats are very intact.
yeah.
And I figured too, I already knew that they would probably participate in some fashion. So the more the merrier. It's fine. It is fine. So relationship wellness though. Um, what first comes to mind when you hear those words?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I don't know, I just think about the connections we have with other people and how necessary they are to our own happiness and our own wholeness.
Right.
And also it's even the health of your relationships, I think, reflects back how healthy you are as a person. Because
Mm.
if you're confident and you're secure, then a lot of your relationships are going to look like they have good boundaries. There is emotional safety, there is reciprocity, there's good communication, all these different things. But if you are more insecure or you question your worth and you you feel like maybe you don't have much to contribute, then the dynamics that you have with other people might be really questionable and may not be healthy.
And that safety aspect that you mentioned, the one word boundaries that you use. Oh, whew, there are healthy boundaries, and and so forth. And I've seen folks over the years. I've been on this earth for a little while, 52 years. I'm proud to say it. Um, relationships. Let me say it this way: when I first saw this topic, and to be honest, quite frankly, before this year, I didn't know this observation even existed. There were several other topics that I would typically observe in February. But anyway, relationship wellness, it struck me so deeply when I came across it. I was like, whoa, oh, this is something I outright right have to address in some way, even if I have or bring someone onto the podcast to share their viewpoints. So when I saw you again, it hit me, and I'm like, oh, let me ask Hillary if she's interested. When I saw you, I didn't ask. I tied up, right? Well, I'm enjoying myself at the brewery, right? But when it hit me again, I'm like, you know what? Mm-mm. Hillary, I think, would be the perfect person. She seems to be a very relationship centered person, if you will.
Yeah, thank you. I also wanted to say it makes a lot of sense that February is the relationship wellness month. And I
Mhm.
think that February is very revealing because the attitude and feelings you might have around Valentine's Day, or the attitude and feelings you might have around Valentine's Day with your partner if you have
Yes,
one.
yes.
And it's interesting because some people will say, "Oh, Valentine's Day isn't important because I am supposed to always be making you feel special." But a person that says that, is that a person that is actually committed to that? Are they actually showing that, or is
Mm,
it an excuse? And I think the way that the other partner reacts and the way that the dynamic, it says a lot about the maintenance throughout the year. And I know for me, when Valentine's Day came around this year, I had the best day. And it's because I went into it not making it a romantic thing. I wanted to have a fun day with my friend, doing activities that
right.
I don't usually do. And then I ended up working in the brewery for a dinner, and it was like an event. And I had such a beautiful day. My life was so full of joy. And I was absolutely delighted because I was engaging with the day for what it was, just another day with new
Uh-huh.
adventures and all that. And I didn't feel like I was lacking anything. And my heart was so full, and I was getting so much life from everything that I was doing. And
Right.
part of it was spending time with a friend, and part of it was the adventure and having a different day. That's why my mom calls it. And
Mhm.
it just felt so freeing and wonderful. But I know that sometimes other people will have Valentine's Day roll around and they're sad or lonely or they're focusing on what they don't have. But I've learned for me to really enjoy that day if I'm single, it's wonderful to focus on what I do have or be grateful that I'm not in relationships that would have been dragging me down. And
Ooh.
I reflect on my freedom, and I reflect on my gratitude for being in the situations that I'm in, with the way I've set up my life, the friendships I have, the the openness that I have to start a new relationship if one comes along that I'm interested in. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Absolutely. Again, wholeheartedly agree. And folks lose sight of well, the most important relationship is the one you have with self. Let's start there first.
Yeah.
Um, so many of us uh, overlook ourselves or don't consider our health and and the wellness thereof in the magnitude that we do when we look at other people, the relationships with that are familial in nature, our family, the friends that you mentioned. Some of us have a wealth of friends, that circle of friends who we can go to about any and everything. Some of us have a smaller, circle of true friends, and I think too. I used to tell my daughter not to use that word so loosely, right? Everyone isn't really your friend. I know you're just saying it in conversation or what have you, but be careful how you internalize that word.
Yeah, because that word comes with expectations.
Mm,
And when you feel that you have a friendship with someone, there's an assumption of reciprocity. And then there's also this idea that they have responsibility to you in certain ways, and you have responsibility to them in certain ways. But it's not reasonable or fair to expect all of those things from someone that you may care about, but they may not care about you, or they may not have concern for you. And even people that you're in some kind of relationship with, that you feel, of course, I should be able to expect my partner to consider my feelings or my wants or my needs or my schedule. It doesn't mean that they actually will or are. And I think being able to love yourself is to realize that you're in that type of dynamic, and to be able to opt out, and to sometimes set boundaries and clearly communicate what your experience is and what your expectations are, and perhaps what the other person can do to show up, and give the opportunity to have change occur or for it not to occur,
mm,
and to be able to open up the door and walk away, and be able to open up new space for someone else who might be able to better show up
yes,
for that role.
yes, yeah, yeah. Nicely stated. Nicely stated. Yeah, you have me picturing as you were sharing that, thinking and picturing all types of relationships that I've had or have, present tense. So yeah, thanks for framing that way. So with all of those relationships, let me personalize it a bit. Okay. Um, which relationship do you think you nurture the most?
I have a few relationships that I nurture pretty regularly. I have two friends that pretty often I'll send them voice memos, and they'll send me voice memos or text back. I have a few other friends that I'll talk to on the phone pretty regularly. And I have some other people that I'll try to see periodically, but it kind of depends on location. Where is that friend? Is she in Virginia? Is this other one, in Pennsylvania? Another one's in Florida.
Hmm.
And so I'm sort of restricted to being able to talk to them on the phone, or very occasionally see them once every couple of years or so. Um, and so I kind of plan around that. And I um I also am really close with my parents, and so I do talk to them pretty often. And well, we have a family group text, of course, and I probably call at least one of my parents probably at least once a week, or they'll call me, and we'll just stay in the loop about things. But
Hmm.
I would say I have a few relationships I nurture pretty often, and I I feel pretty open with these people, and maybe I will conceal certain details from my mom with dating, as far as what is this person's name, or like some identifying details so she can't look him up, because she will. Until I know what I think about this person and want to bring them around, I don't want her googling and all this stuff. But um I I feel very safe in these relationships, that I can talk about my feelings about
Mm,
something maybe that happened at work, or
right.
um maybe stress about something, or my excitement or hope, or whatever. But I am so happy that in these relationships I can show up and be encouraging, and I can talk through things with them, or pray for them, or get their updates and offer advice or what have you. So I feel super grateful that these relationships are very reciprocal. And there are times in the relationships where maybe one of us needs to talk more and the other one needs to listen more. And I like sometimes when I realize that I don't feel like I have as much support that I need, and then I can really call my friend and be like, "Hey, I just kind of feel like how can I show up for you today?" Or what do you want to talk about? Because I'm here to listen and I just kind of want to know what's going on with you, or
Mhm.
do you just want to kind of tell me what's happening? And it's really wonderful to be in those types of relationships where we have that tug, the back and forth, and rebalancing, and that the understanding is I'm here for you and you're here for me, and we take turns. And um,
Mhm.
I love that honesty and openness, and I think that patience and understanding. And I love the communication I have with all these people because one of them, she'll say, "It's been really great talking with you, but I feel like I'm all talked out." And I know that it's not personal, it's just a capacity thing. And
Right.
she called me maybe, or maybe I called her. We connected for a little bit and it was nourishing, but maybe she's tired. Maybe she's got to do something else. Maybe she just that's it. And I love that ability that she has to tell me that. And sometimes I might want to still talk, but I love her in a way where I can say, "Ah, that's what you need. I'm going to respect that. I'm just going to appreciate what we had and look forward to the next conversation."
Yeah, I like that. I absolutely like that a lot. You made me think. There were a couple of questions that I planned to ask you around that, but I think you addressed them. But there's one thing, a few things that you said that struck this thought. Um, you know, some folks subscribe to the difficult conversation, right? Kind of thing. And as friends, even your associates, you we have to have them. Yeah, I think they're healthy. What are your beliefs around having those difficult conversations? If want to substitute another word, you may. But I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts around that. How do you facilitate them? How effective are they?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I lacked confidence in a lot of ways, and I was so afraid of getting feedback because it was so threatening to me, and it was so important to me to be accepted, to be approved of, to be liked. And I pushed myself to perform. And, some of that performance was how can I be perfect, quote unquote perfect, or like as good as possible. And I was so afraid of failing. And so if I got feedback, then it was confirmation that I wasn't good enough, which was what my deep fear was. And it was that I wasn't meeting all my expectations for myself, which were high, and that maybe I didn't have the full approval that I was wanting. And I think it was also threatening in that what if I couldn't show up in the way that I needed to get that approval, or to live up to that standard that I was placing, or maybe I was thinking someone else had for me, or maybe it was both, just depending on the situation. Um, and so if I got feedback, I would cry and it would just rock my world. But as I've grown older, and I've noticed that when I got really constructive feedback, it gave me clarity for how I could grow and how
Mhm.
I could advance. And I realized that feedback often comes with support, where if someone's going to give you support or give you feedback, often they're going to offer support to help you meet that. Um, and I've realized how feedback is a gift. And I have learned to lean into it and to ask for it and want it, even if it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
because I realize that that's something that helps me achieve my goal, which is to get better. And it is to be more successful in whatever it is. And so um, I'm not so afraid of feedback now. And I also, because I'm much more confident and I'm much more comfortable and secure, I know I'm not perfect. I always knew that, but I now believe that I am capable and I'm not expecting perfection, although I do still push myself very hard,
Hmm.
which you know, but um, it's much easier for me to receive it, and I don't cry every time, and I don't feel so threatened or so scared, and I'll even seek it out now. And so when I just got my promotion recently, when I was interviewing and kind of preparing, I was like, look, I want to be the best in telesales on this team, and I know I need help. I plan to level up, and with a new role, I feel like I'm going to have to expand. And so I was welcoming feedback, and I challenged my manager and the other managers that I interviewed. I was like, if you ever feel like you give me feedback and you don't feel satisfied with the response that I give, I want you to push back and tell me that I can do better than that, and that you're and I want you to know that I do value your input, and I want to grow into something more. And I don't want you to not feel safe to give me feedback, because I realize that that is a mistake and it's a missed opportunity for me. And
Mm.
so I have been really grateful to be getting feedback and support and encouragement in this new role, and empowerment to try and fail or succeed or just expand and grow, as I kind of figure it out. But with little guardrails, and then my responsibility is to take it and make adjustments and then have that feedback loop. Um, so that was sort of a long answer, and it didn't fully answer. There were other thoughts I had, but yeah.
I think it totally answered the mail. No, that that was a perfect overview. And the latter of what you said about that feedback loop, and then initially with wanting feedback, no, you encourage it.
Some of it, I think where I was coming from before
Hmm.
was more of a space of self-preservation and just
Right.
trying to hold myself together. And maybe I didn't trust people. Maybe I was looking at relationships in more of a surface level way, because there wasn't that trust and depth and the ability to allow myself to be seen. Intimacy, people will say, into me you see. And I think intimacy
Okay.
was
Yes.
a scary thing. And I think I've kind of grown into a space where I want to be known, and I want to know, within proper, healthy boundaries or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
But I realize that I'm going to have blind spots. I'm going to have issues. And for me to be the best that I can be, I need someone to be able to help me see that and help me strategize to overcome. And I think about when I was younger, I wasn't the most self aware about how I spoke and how the words that I used could be perceived. And I
Hmm.
wasn't the best at filtering. And I had some wonderful people in my life who knew my heart and trusted that the way the words came out, that wasn't the intention. And so they would lovingly tell me, hey, I'm not sure if you realize, but the way that you said this thing, it came off this way, or it sounded like this.
Hmm.
And that feedback helped me have an awareness of my blind spot, and
Hmm.
help me understand how something was being received, and I could then address it. So it was really helpful that then I got that communication, so I could try to fix that issue and repair a relationship if it was needed, and clarify. But then also realize I need to figure out how to better communicate and how to have my words more clearly reflect my intention and my feelings and my
Hmm.
love for this person or my opinions or whatever. And I've had to learn sometimes when to not speak, or how to better filter, or whatever. But
Right.
I think I think also something I like to think about is seek to understand and not to be understood.
Yep.
And I you're not always going to be understood no matter how hard you try to explain yourself. Some people will not be ready to receive it. They don't want to receive it. And not every relationship is going to be reciprocal or where people are really going to care. And you may need to sometimes expect to give and be okay with just giving, and be okay with not receiving, and not having it be a reciprocal thing. And I think it's been such a gift for me to start to learn those types of things and to be secure enough to say, I don't need everyone to like me. I don't need everyone to understand me. I don't need everyone to be my friend. And
Yeah.
there are some
Yes.
people, they don't have the capacity to show up for me. And I just need to know that with them, I need to be okay showing up and caring for them and not expecting anything in return and being satisfied in that and relieved in that I'm not always going to be disappointed because I'm expecting more and I'm hoping for more and I'm never going to get it.
Having that type of just self-awareness, situational awareness, that's Hillary, that's next level.
I
You
have to
also
say,
made me think about the wellness. There's this element, there's this component of checking on your relationships, the wellness of your relationships.
yeah.
Is there anything that you may do like intentionally, systematically, anything that you do along those lines with any of your relationships?
Yeah, well, I wanted to say first that I have to think I have a lot of gratitude for all the people in my life that have helped me get to where I am. And I
Mm,
think about all the times that someone gave me feedback that maybe was difficult for them to say because they were worried about how I might react.
right.
And their honesty and their openness about their feelings or how what I said came off or whatever, that helped me learn and grow. And I very much look at my life and my growth as a product from like a lot of people and a lot of resources.
Hmm.
And I'm so grateful that these people in my life have loved me so well for so long and so honestly and so openly and give me the opportunity to show up and do better and grow. And I actually really appreciate conflict. And conflict to me is a way that I know how deep a relationship is because to me, conflict says commitment and it says, I love you enough to have this hard conversation, and our relationship is worth it to me to go through this discomfort. And
Mm,
I'm willing to engage with this and try to sort this out because I believe in you and I care about you and I value you. And I am committed to trying to work this out. And for me, after I've had conflict with someone, I love them more and I feel more safe in that relationship because I know that there is that ability to override discomfort. This is Green, by the way. So I fostered him, and he and I are very close. And
great. In fact, I need to blow him up again. That
he's such a sweet boy, and he likes to try to protect me.
he's
And
like, she's talking about all these people and friends. Hello, what about us? What about me in particular? He
yeah,
is a beautiful boy.
thank you. He's so sweet.
And you did say that's green, correct?
Yeah, this is Green. So he's a big boy, and people will say he's gray, he's not green, and I'll be like, yeah, but his name tells a story to me. You know, it tells the story of how I met him and our beginnings together.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you were asking me a question, and I went in a different direction.
Oh, no, no, no. It was about just the like
Maintaining
the
relationships.
intentional wellness checks, right?
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to that?
Yeah, so there was a time recently I called my friend Heather and I just had this feeling like I just needed to call her and ask how she was and just tell her that I'm ready to listen. And
Mm,
it was cool because that's what I did. And she probably downloaded for like 45 minutes and just talked about all these things that were going on.
uh,
And I felt so special to get to be privy and to hear about what was happening in her world
yeah.
and to get to encourage her and support her and listen. And I feel like that was what she needed. Or I know another time recently, I had a lot of stuff to say to my friend Amy to catch her up and download because I needed to talk about stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so it was fun the next day to get to call her and be like, all right, Amy, I know I talked a lot yesterday. Thanks for listening. I don't really have much to say today, and I really want to make sure that you are heard. And so, what would you like to talk about with your life? And and I'm not saying that I picked up the phone and talked to Amy and didn't get any updates before I talked. You know, there was definitely a little bit of back and forth, but um, I knew that maybe it was my 85% to her 15. And I was like, I want to show up for her in the way that she showed up for me. And I know she's got plenty she could talk about too. And so just kind of thinking about those things and trying to anticipate someone else's needs, um, or texting, just to kind of ask a question, hey, how did this thing go? Um, and I just think it's such a wonderful thing to get to show someone that you care, and for them to it's a gift if they then answer and then they do share. Yesterday, my neighbor, I wanted to check on her about something, and then it was cool to then talk on the phone for a little bit because I was walking a neighbor's dog, and because I do pet care as one of my gigs, and it was fun to kind of listen and hear what's going on and support her. And then she was just really happy to get that care and that love. And she actually told me a story about a different neighbor who I also know, and that neighbor knew that she was having a lot going on, and so she brought her cookies, and she was like, "Hey, I know you've got a lot going on. Just wanted to bring you this." And she talks about how she just felt really loved, and she felt the support from her community as she was going through all these things, and it bolsters her as she goes through all these challenges and tries to keep going and just continue forward, you know?
Yeah, I Hillary, I may have mentioned this to you before, but you would be a darn good relationship coach, right?
Thank you. So when I was younger, people used to say I would be a good counselor, and sometimes they still tell me that. Um, I think about maybe one day I'll pursue that. But it's interesting because I'm in sales right now. Um, I do get to help people and care about them and help them problem solve, and strategize and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and actually for me, one of the questions you would ask is who is Hillary? And when I think about my values, because I'm very values driven,
Mhm.
every job I've had, it is rooted in helping people in some way. And I can't work in a job if I don't feel like I'm doing that. And I've had
Mm,
so many different kinds of jobs. I've had food service, working with people with disabilities, working in the financial services field, and just lots of little random things.
yeah.
But that's the common thread for me. And it gets me excited to have variety. And you're not going to have much more variety than you have in relationships with people. Um, there's so many different kinds of
So
people and so many
much.
different flavors.
Yeah. Whew. You could say that 10 times over. Oh,
Yeah.
I, any last thoughts that are just ringing in your head about relationship wellness in general?
Yeah, I just think about how much we need each other, and when we're thinking about enjoyment of life, it really is all about relationships. And when you step back and you think about the quality of your life, a lot of times it's not really about money. It's not really about career success. It's really about how loved you feel that you are or aren't, and the kind of quality you have in your conversations, and the kind of quality you have in your outings because of the people you get to share that time with. And I just think about how one way to really love yourself is to be maintaining those relationships, and how checking in on them is one way to do that, checking in on these people and being committed to reciprocity. And it's very much where if you are loving well, then you will probably be loved well back, as long as you have that self-respect and everything. And it's such a gift to yourself to love others, and it's such a gift to others if you love yourself, because you won't be tolerating bad things, and people will either be challenged to live to a higher standard, or they will self-select out. But I also think about when you're in any kind of relationship or friendship, whatever, if the person that you love, whoever that person is, whatever role they have,
Hmm.
if you know that they're in an unhealthy dynamic, it hurts you to see them hurting. And, you know, it can be taxing to show up and be frustrated for them as they're struggling through something. And you feel like they're not loving themselves. You feel like they're not taking care of themselves, you know, and in a way, it's kind of a drain on you. And I've definitely heard of stories where people are saying, I couldn't keep living through this person getting back together with her ex again and again and again, and the destruction and the pain. And I felt like I had to pick her up or whatever every time. I can't be in a relationship with her anymore if she's going to keep choosing this person and being destructive. I can't handle this pain. And so my point is, when you maintain the relationship that you have with yourself and you show up well with others, it's really in so many different ways, you know, it's feeding. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, and of course I can relate. Definitely relate. Um, it, Hillary, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your openness and personalizing, you know, it of course, um, being vulnerable, all of those things go into the wellness of the relationship with self first, and then outwardly. It's just amazing how uh, bonds can bonds are created. Um, Conversations that you can strike up via no matter where you are, amid what number of people, what environment, etc. So seeing you in that natural environment initially, and seeing you, you know, sense, of course, and the way you move and the way you have a grooviness about you. Everyone is attracted to Hillary.
I wanted to say that I think for me, when I think about relationships at work, because a lot of my work is talking on the phone to people all over the world.
Yeah.
Some people I have been talking with for 3 years, you know, off and on, you know, as they hear about something that they're interested in or they have a question or whatever. And I chose in this job to be committed to helping people. And yes, I'm in sales now. I started in member services, then I was in a sales role. Now I'm in a senior sales role. But even though my job has changed and now my professional focus is supposed to be less on customer service type of work, I'm still committed to providing that because
Right.
to me, it's all about the practical needs. And when I think about conversations with customers sometimes, it's not all about the sale to me. It's really what is the practical need here. And there are times where I won't sell something because I don't think it makes sense and I don't think that's right. I don't think it's really caring for that person. And I'm okay not getting that because it doesn't feel right to me. And then other times where maybe I could have I'll look at certain things as I'm losing the battle, but I might win the war.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think about the relationship being more important to me than the sale or what have you, and being okay setting aside maybe things that might benefit me to
Uh-huh.
elevate and support that other person. And if trust results and if future sales result, like that's awesome. But the expectation to me is me showing up in my values for that person and just caring for them.
Right.
And I've noticed that in life, if you can focus on caring for people and giving good customer service, and just really loving, everything else is taken care of. You know, sales maybe are the byproduct or retention or whatever. But if the joy and the momentum is really from just caring, everything kind of works out. And it's
Everything
been
kind of works
incredible
out.
for me to see. Yeah.
That's good stuff. We need more Hillarys in sales. We need more Hillarys, period. So,
Thank you.
Hillary, thank you so much for all of that. Really.
Yeah. Well, and I
Ah,
wanted to say, CJ, it's always so fun to talk with you. So, I guess I met you, it was probably like almost a year ago, I think.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and we've started to like you'll come to the bar sometimes and we'll have these wonderful conversations. And I know that I can trust you and I know that you'll challenge my thinking. You'll support me, you'll encourage me, and you'll teach me. And I when I think about you, I think about how you're a wealth of information and you're super connected and you've had some wonderful experiences, such a good storyteller. and just really authentic and honest. And I know when I talk to you that you care about me and you care about the things you're involved with and that
Mhm.
you're committed to excellence, and the respect and appreciation I have for you is great. And I'm just so glad that you're my friend. And I'm always so excited to see you when you show up because I'm like, oh, CJ's here, like my day just got better. And I'm so excited that I'll get to have a conversation with him now because
Yeah.
I know, like for me, I really value strong, good conversations with people that I respect who are dynamic and are thinking and growing and wanting to expand and also give back because I feel like that is you. And so I'm definitely really grateful to have you and glad to have you in my life.
All right. Well, ditto, ditto, ditto. I appreciate you sharing that. I'll pay you later, okay? So we'll I got you, trust me. But no, in all seriousness, no, thanks for sharing that. I again, ditto, I feel the same way. Always very engaging conversations, no matter what we're talking about, no matter who's in the bar, in the brewery. Always a great time. And I look forward to it as well. And congratulations again on your promotion. So
Could I share just a couple thoughts?
please.
So I think when we, step away from this video and we're thinking about how to show up for other people, I think it would be good to say thank you more and to just
Mm,
really highlight other people's strengths and the beauty that people bring into the world and whatever that looks like. Maybe it's a skill set, maybe it's a talent, a unique thing, a really funny thing that someone said, whatever. But I just don't think that there's enough appreciation and acknowledgement of our differences and also how that enhances and enriches our lives. And when you think about people that you love that you lost because they passed away or whatever, there's a hole that they leave because they
mhm,
were unique and special and they went through certain experiences with you or what have you. And it's sad because when they're gone, you can't tell them about their impact.
mhm.
And so I think it's important while people are here around you, highlight them, let them know how important they are, how much you love them, and reflect back to them what they are bringing to the world. And I just don't think sometimes people know how they're valued, and
Mm,
I think that's sad. And I think sometimes, especially as life gets more and more challenging with all the things happening in the world, we need each other so much more and we need more encouragement and support and to be seen. In this world, there's a lot of play acting and whatever. There's just a lot of imagery, right? Just having to look a certain way, be a certain way, whatever. And
yeah.
we need so much more authenticity and community. And I think one way to really show up and make sure that those that we love are well and make sure that our relationships are well is saying, I see you and I want to call this out and highlight this about you and let you know that nobody gives me this. And that just means so much to me. Or that little, when you considered my feelings and you um, bought my favorite tea when you knew I was coming over, and you had my favorite snack. That was really thoughtful and that was really loving.
Yeah.
And I received that, and I just think if we heard that a little bit more, we would have that much more rich relationships. And if we felt that feeling that then we can verbalize, how much more are we going to enjoy our life and enjoy our relationships and be grateful and feel warm when we're walking out into the cold, right? Because so much of our experience in life is what's in our mind and in our heart and in the words we speak out loud and the words that we think. And I think that's the self wellness and then the relationship wellness. And um, I just think that would just be an incredible gift.
I gotta think of some other topics and such to get you back on here. You are just a wealth of information.
You mean also like talks a lot, right?
Well, I mean, if the person is talking about something, right, of substance, and not just talking to hear themselves. Folks need to hear Hillary more. Okay, remember I said that, and I will remind you of it too.
Thank you. But we all
but
have value, and it's that unique value and the unique insights.
yeah,
And I think it's wonderful to get to share, but it's also wonderful to get to listen and to get to consider. And just thinking about, I think, just valuing our differences and the people in your life, you probably have a lot of similarities, but if you can then that much more consider what makes them special and unique, and yeah, just highlighting it for them.
there we go. Look, hey, Hillary, thanks again, guys. There you have it. The relationship wellness coach and counselor and all. We're going to speak it into existence now. She doesn't know it yet, but yes, it's going to happen. It's going to materialize. But hey, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your continued support. Like this video, like any other video that may resonate with you. But leave that comment and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As you guys know, the Life Writing Podcast is another way we creatively inform and inspire, helping people write the lives they desire. Until the next time, take care.